Hello and welcome to the Spooky Chris podcast. My name is Chris Ringler, your aforementioned Spooky Chris. I welcome you along today. We will be having a conversation with author Monte Krabs. Monte is a former librarian, drummer, and author of the short story collection The Drum Tech and Other Stories. The Drum Tech and Other Stories is a really diverse collection of the surreal, the supernatural, and the fantastic. Really interesting read, and you can follow him at montekrabs.com. And I welcome you to listen along. Thank you, Monte Krabs, for joining me. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thanks, Chris. Thanks for having me on your show.
It's a pleasure. Congratulations on your first book.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, it's been a long time coming, and hopefully there'll be some more.
Absolutely, absolutely. I know what an exciting accomplishment that is. So I'm hoping that you're getting a chance to kind of bask in that and relish it a little bit.
Right, I have been. Yeah, I've been.
That's fantastic. All right, so before I get to your book, I wanted to go back. I'm fascinated. You now you were formerly a librarian? Did you have you retired or you still are?
I am retired. Yeah, I was
Okay,
a school librarian for 28 years.
that's
Um,
amazing. What
so
made you want to become a librarian?
well, I started in special education, but I was always in the library, and I thought, oh my gosh, I need this would be a better job, and so I went back, started my degree, and I was in my first class, and a school called me and wanted me to come and interview, even though I was only in my first class. I said, okay. And I did have the best job in the school, and I was around books all the time. And then as the years went by, still books, but then the technology also uh, came into play.
Now that must have been interesting watching how technology kind of became embedded in the library system. What was that like?
Well, it I felt like it was my job to stay on the cutting edge of the technology in my position. So I embraced it. I pushed it towards the other teachers, and I was the spokesperson for it. And then basically at the end, a lot of librarians were replaced by databases and things like that. So it's kind of ironic, but it is what it is. But I still, because I would get sets of encyclopedias, and then we'd have like two computers, and they said, well, you should get the encyclopedia on the computers. I said, yeah, well, could have two kids sitting down at the two computers that I have, but I can get a whole classroom of people with a 28 volume set of encyclopedias. But then as that changed, then we got more computers, and then that wasn't a valid argument anymore.
That's still it's fascinating. That's awesome that you did that work. Now, along with that, you also are a drummer. Now is
Yes.
you know in your book, the drum tech, well, specifically the story, it's more behind the scenes. Are you kind of in front of the crowd or behind behind the scenes?
For me as a
Yeah,
drummer,
yeah.
well, I like being the drummer because I was always behind the singers, so I kind of could hide back there behind my drum kit. And they didn't give me a mic because they said I couldn't sing, but I don't. I think that was, I think I could have. They just give me a mic, but yeah, I was behind the scenes,
Okay.
and uh, I still play in a couple bands. We're cover bands, and we still have fun. And I set up my own drums, so I don't have a drum tech. So
Well, that's cool. How long have you been drumming?
since I was in third grade
Holy
is when I
cow.
started lessons, and then in college, that's how I made my spending money is in a band in college, and then that was a country band back then, and then now I'm in a classic rock band and a modern rock band, and then I played in church bands off and on as well.
So gosh, so you've seen a lot of different through these many eras. Do you have a favorite era of music?
I I don't think I do. I just I'll listen to the radio station for a while and it'll all be the same kind of music. And then I'll have to switch and listen to something else. And then I enjoy that for a while. And I switch off because I just like all different kinds of music.
Right on. Before I really kind of dive into your book, is if there was one record and one book you had to recommend to somebody, like oh, you've got to read this, you've got to hear this record. What do you have? Either of those that you would kind of just tell somebody?
Let's see. Well, records. I'm kind of a Alice Cooper fan, so uh, probably my favorite is "Welcome to My Nightmare" by Alice Cooper record. And as far as a book, The Stand by Stephen King, my all-time favorite.
Awesome. 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 Very cool. Well, so let me just dive in here. The Drum Tech is your first book, but have you always had an interest in writing?
I have, I was around books all the time, being in the library, and I always thought it would it would be so cool if I could have a book and have my name on it. And I took a writing class probably 25 years ago, and it went well. And I started to write. I was gonna write a novel, and I worked on it every night after the kids went to sleep, and I finished it, and I edited it and edited it and edited it, and I tried to read through it, and I go, you know what? I don't even think I would want to read this book. So I tabled it. And my son at the time, like, why don't you publish your book, Dad? And he's drawing pictures that could be on the cover and stuff. And so he kept harping. Now he's 30 years old, and he's thrilled that I did this. So I took that long novel that I couldn't read, and it's one of my short stories in my book. So I rewrote it as a short story, and I like it a lot better.
Awesome. Well, that's cool. I mean, that's being able to do that. It's a big part of the process. So what was the spark that really pushed you to do this? You took the class a little while ago, and you kind of wanted to do it. Was there something
Yes.
that sparked it and made you really make the move?
So yes, my wife, she published a nonfiction book on leadership, and from her, she was in the funeral business, so it's a book, um, that it's about her life and what her successes and failures throughout her career. And she says, "Why don't you start writing again?" And I said, "Well, I tried that once." And so one about 3 years ago for Christmas, I opened my Christmas card, and in my present is a writing coach. So I opened this in front of all my kids, and she has hired a writing coach for me. And I'm looking at this, I go, thanks, but I don't want to do this. And she goes, well, think about it, because it's already paid for. So I go, oh my gosh, that's so intimidating. Okay, so and I had started writing again off and on before that. Nothing serious. Not that I wanted anybody to ever actually read what I wrote, kind of a thing. And so I met with the writing coach, and she was not intimidating, and she was the biggest help. She just got me. She'd read my stuff. She gave me great suggestions. She would say, "Okay, this is confusing. You rewrite this." So I would do that. I mean, it was just like she pretty much walked me through the whole first story with her ideas and stuff. And so after that, you know, I leaned on her a little bit, but I was got better and better at doing it and seeing what. Yeah, okay, you're right. That is confusing. So you read back, you read it out loud, and then the whole editing process. And then she was my editor, and then I hired a proofreader, and then it just went on from there. But it was my wife, um, that got me going again, and so I'm just so thankful for her and what she did for me.
That's fantastic. I mean, I imagine she's been excited to see this all come to fruition then.
She is, yes, she is.
That is amazing. Now, did you notice? in kind of writing, the stories, were you able to kind of use some of your experience as a drummer, kind of in like the rhythm in it, and kind of like the musicality of the words? Yeah.
Absolutely. I did. Because the whole drum kit is designed after mine. Yeah, yes. So that was a big help. And being on stage, even though our stages were a lot smaller than what I'm presenting in my story. So I've kind of been there. And then I also, um, the first story in the book where there's the robot teacher is I based a lot of that off of my experience as a school teacher and librarian. So
Well, it's interesting. You mentioned the so your story, the drum tech. I'm curious. So in the story, there's a couple of very big kind of classic rock style bands. Did you have
yeah.
any kind of anybody in mind, or as kind of who they might be patterned after?
well, I might have given it away with my favorite album, but he had the horror bass theme with all the props and stuff. So I guess maybe kind of an Alice Cooper kind of bass theme, but it was shock rock for sure.
Right on. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. That tracks. Okay. Right on. That's cool. Um, this is your book is a short story collection, and it's kind of a rarity these days. What made you want to kind of put a collection together as your first book?
Well, like I said, I started doing the novel was kind of a big flop, and don't get me wrong, I am going to write a novel. I am. I've already got it started, but my next book will also be short stories. So I'm guessing for me, the short stories are just less intimidating. Like I had this one long thing, and I condensed it down to where I thought it was what I would read it, and yeah, you don't see that a lot, but I do. I read a lot of short stories and I enjoy them. So it's just, you can't get probably more in depth like you could in a novel, but uh, you got to get to the point quicker. And then you got to, at least I feel like you have to have a good ending. Now, when
Yeah.
I start my stories, I have a pretty decent idea of where I'm going, but I never have any ideas of where I'm going to finish it. Like, there's a story in my next book that I thought I'd finished it, and then I'm sitting um, watching a golf tournament for of all things, and and something just came to me. I said, "Oh my gosh, this would be a better ending." So I got up early the next morning and I went from where I left off, and I put in the new ending, and I'm going, "Okay, that's kind of cool." So just like things come to me. So I don't know. I think the endings are important in short stories. I do read some where they just kind of end and you're just going, okay, well that was disappointing, but so I try to do a better job with my endings. I don't know if I do or not, but I try to focus on that.
No, yeah, absolutely. I think you did a great job with your endings. But I think you're right in that there definitely is an art to writing short fiction. And it's you have you have like a very kind of short runway, and you got to kind of get a lot of things in
Right.
there. It's very much like a telling a joke, and you got to hit the punchline. Um,
Yeah. Yep.
but I am a very big proponent and fan of short fiction, so I appreciated that you put a short collection together.
Well, thank you. I I'm kind of proud. I'm pretty proud of it, and for my first attempt. And so, um, the last story was probably the creepiest one. I don't know if you got a chance to read that
I
last
did.
story.
I like. I mean, it's yeah. I like the vibe of that. Like it's because it's yeah for folks hadn't read it yet. It's about mangroves.
Just
Uh,
mangroves,
yeah,
right?
and I very creepy. It's a very
So a
very
little
effective, very creepy.
creepy, and the classic rock song comes into play, and and that was not premeditated either when I first started writing that.
That worked. It worked out well. What do you find kind of more inspiration when you're not focused on it? Because that's what it's always kind of seemed for me is kind of, and I think a lot of folks is when you the in the shower moments, when you're not really thinking about it, and then your mind is just kind of it's like trying to solve a puzzle, and it kind of something clicks into place when you're not focused.
Absolutely. And sometimes it's laying in bed thinking of something else, and then something just pops in my head. When I'm sitting down at the computer and I'm just trying to force myself to come up with stuff, not so good. But like I said, sitting at the golf tournament, just watching golf, and oh my gosh, that's it. And yeah, you got a point there. So I guess your brain kind of just is working on it, and your subconscious, and then it is then they let you have it. Your brain tells you what to do.
Absolutely, absolutely. Now, Joe, do you have a writing process that you've found works for you, or are you still kind of finding that process?
I have my notes on my phone and my computer where I jot down ideas as they come to me, like future stories. And I I usually have like three going at one time, and I'll sit down. I have my writing time, and I'll write and write. And then if I get stuck, I don't try to like force it. I'll switch to one of the other stories, and then I can switch back and forth, and that helped me. So I don't have to stew on, okay, I don't really know what to say this anymore, so I'll just go to table that, but I'm not going to stop writing. I'm going to go write on another one, and that worked for me. So other than that, I don't know. I'm really winging
Well, no, I mean that's
it.
finding what works for you is. I mean, everybody kind of has their own method, but finding what works for you is better than trying to force somebody else's way of doing it. You kind of got
Oh,
to
I
find
think
your
so.
own path.
Absolutely.
So, I mean, and I'm sure you've experienced that with drumming. Is you can watch how other people drum, but you have to kind of do it the way that is natural for you.
Oh, yeah. So true. So like third grade, they're teaching me how to read, doing all the rudiments, so that was so helpful to me. And then teaching me how to read drum music and everything, and I got really pretty decent at it. And now I could not look at drum music and make heads or tails of it. I just listen to the songs now, and who do I do it like they do it? I don't know, and I don't care because I think I can get it to sound like it anyway.
Right on. Um, Now your book tackles a whole wide variety of genres. You have fantasy and horror in there. Is there a genre you're more drawn to write, or that you have more fun writing?
Well, I wanted to do more horror than anything, but the fantasy kind of worked its way in there. The story I was talking about that I condensed was Current World, and that's definitely a fantasy tale. My writing coach said she liked this. She liked my selection of stories because every one of them was so different. And
Yeah.
so when we went to try to look for subject headings for this book, it was very difficult because it's a wide variety of genres. So like horror, fantasy, um, supernatural.
Yeah, it is interesting. Even just going to, I mean, as a librarian, I'm sure you understand like how certain authors will be fiction, but then someone like Stephen King who writes a little of everything will be horror. And it's,
Right.
it's all kind of marketing buzzwords, but it's hard to, especially as a writer, it's hard to know kind of where to slot yourself in that actually benefits you.
Right. Right. So maybe just weird and uncanny things kind of intrigue me. So
That's fair. Are there
stick
any
to it.
genres that you'd like to try your hand at that you're thinking of, or are you just going to kind of wait and see?
I'll just wait and see. So I'll just try to stick to kind of what I'm doing, and the next few stories that I'm working on are they're not similar. They are different, but they're all kind of the going down the weird path and the keep you guessing kind of a thing. So
Awesome, awesome. Now the stories your book feel lived in, and seem to come kind of from a place of experience. Was that something you like felt you were like uniquely able to bring to these stories?
The first writing class I took like 25 years ago, one of the key points of the person that was teaching the class said, try to stick with writing, even if it's fiction, try to stick with writing things that you know. Okay, so, all right. So I'm a teacher. So I wrote a story about a school teacher. I'm a drummer. I like fly fishing. So that was another story. But um, I need to probably break away from that a little bit. And so,
I mean, I don't know. I mean, I can't count on two hands how many stories Stephen King has about writers. So, so like,
right.
if it works, it works. I
Oh, there
mean,
is one. What was it? Was it the Dead Zone? Was he a writer? No,
oh
some.
well, no, there's a whole bunch of them that are writers. That's what I mean. Is this like there? He has a whole bunch. He
Yeah.
writes
So he
about
write he, that. So
yeah,
he takes that to heart too.
yeah. He writes a
Right.
lot of writers for
Yes.
sure. So let me see. Do you have advice for folks that want to kind of get involved, like start writing or
Well,
kind of get that first push?
I guess for me, I wish that I wouldn't have given up so easy, like I did the first time. So stick with it. It's not easy, but it gets easier. And seek help. Um, Seek help from a human. They can give you advice, not AI. And because it was the writing coach that made all the difference. A personal writing coach that met with me weekly, and she read what had written, and we went from there. So yeah, don't give up. Keep plugging along, and it'll eventually happen. That's probably true with anything.
Awesome, that's fantastic. Now, have you gotten a chance to kind of get out and promote this like in person, like do signings or anything?
Well, I'm supposed to. Our local library in Colorado, they're having a local author book signing, and I've been invited. So they haven't given me the date yet. So I might have to fly back for that. My wife thinks I'm not promoting it well enough. Uh,
Well, I mean, I can tell you from 20 some years of experience that that's something that you never quite figure out and then just kind of have to find a way to work that works for you. But I think I know in our area, and I'm sure it's the same in yours, is there's lots of smaller shows and
right.
conventions and all kinds of things, and it's you get so much more out of selling a book to someone in person than you can imagine. Like it validates everything
I can,
that you've
yeah.
done. And the contacts you make and everything. So I think you'll have a great time at that signing, and hopefully it's just the first of many for you.
Right. And I've been told there's a fiction writing conference that I should go to, just to, you know, as a librarian, I would go to these conferences with other librarians and teachers. And so I guess there's some for fiction writers. So I'm going to try to attend some of those and get my name out there a little bit. And my marketing gal wants me to write them a letter and see if I can be a guest speaker. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, I am not a. That's horrifying to have to get up and speak in front of people. Even though I was a coach for a while, and I got up in front of people all the time. So
Well, I mean, you could do baby steps and again, like see if your local library and everything wants to do something. Like
right,
it's a lot of that stuff is just kind of making your own path, and it's definitely it's definitely takes
it
a lot
it
of gumption.
does. And so I had a book launch right before Halloween, and I invited a lot of people. I knew pretty much all of them, not all of them, but pretty much everybody I invited I knew. But then they brought their friends, and so there was quite a few people there. And so I talked. I gave a brief book talk on my book in front of everybody. It wasn't as intimidating because I knew most of them, but the intimidating thing probably was that because I'm a teacher, there was like three English teachers in the audience. Yay.
Well, I think I think you'll be fine. I think that's some of the rewarding, it's stressful, but I think you'll find it rewarding eventually, like once you kind of start really kind of get into it more.
All right,
Now, what
appreciate
are
that.
you working on next? You'd mentioned kind of you're working on, like you'd started kind of noodling with a novel and you're starting work on another collection.
Yeah. So I'm like three stories into it. Um, I'm gonna try to make it a little longer than this one. This one ended up five short stories. I'm gonna shoot for more than that. And one of the characters that echoes in the hall, that the robot teacher, I think that he's intriguing, and he's gonna be in another story because he just cracks me up. So
Oh, that's cool. I mean, I can absolutely see where you could do other stuff with that character. So
yeah.
absolutely. The last couple things I'll ask you then, just out of curiosity, what are you reading these days? Because I think it's always interesting to see what authors and stuff are reading and consuming.
I'm reading, let's say, Dean Koontz book, and I'm trying to think of the name of it. Something about a wolf. Okay, so that's not good. It's not in here. I read a lot of Preston and Childs, uh,
Okay.
Pendergast novels. I love that. And those are all mysteries. I do like I like Stephen King. I don't read them as often anymore, and I've been really trying to find short stories by various authors, and just to keep up on. This is what I'm writing right now, so I'm just saturating myself as many of books on short stories as I can.
Man, there's some great ones out there, so that's a fantastic. Now, how can folks track you down and track your book down?
MonteCrabs.com is my website, and I have a few blogs on there as well. Some stories, some short blurbs from my life that I experienced or made up. Either one of the two. And so yeah, it's just MonteCrabbs.com, and it has links to Amazon, Audible, some of my books on Audible. That was quite a process to hire a narrator, and then actually have your book read to you, which was kind of cool.
Yeah, tell me about that then, because yeah, that's something I've never ventured into. So how'd that process go?
I had a guy helping me. I was introduced to a guy who was like an expert in this, and he walked me through the whole process. And so you you put your manuscript, well, not all of it, just a script, so just bits and pieces. So what I did was bits and pieces of each of my stories, and then you post it, and then within 3 days I had like 40 people sending me their clips of what they
Wow.
could do reading my story. And so I out of all these, I narrowed it down to eight. I sent these eight to my two sons who listened to books on all the time, and we narrowed it down. We all picked the same guy, and so that was good.
Awesome.
So that worked well, and so yeah, yeah.
That's fantastic. That's yeah, like I say, that's interesting. I've never really talked to anybody that's give me any insight into that. That's awesome. Well, I can't thank you enough, Monty, for making a little time for me. I look forward to seeing what you do next, and I wish you
Okay.
all of the best on this book and everything to come.
All right, thanks, Chris. I appreciate you having me on. I enjoyed myself.
Well,
This kind of thing scares me more than horror fiction. But
oh gosh, I'm so I
I'm
hopefully
getting
this was painless. Like that,
it really was, and I appreciate that. So thank you very much.
you're very welcome. It was a pleasure, and I will talk to you again. You take care.
All right, you as well. Thanks.
Thanks. I want to thank Monty Krabs one last time for making some time to come on the podcast. It is always great to speak to any creative and authors. But it's really fun to speak with people that are kind of just getting going and establishing themselves and kind of just to see where they're at. And it's fascinating. And Monte has a new book out. It's his first book, The Drum Tech and Other Stories. It's available now. You can follow him at montecrabs.com, MonteCrabbs.com, and get more info on what he'll be doing next. As for me, you can find all my stuff at spookychris.com. All of my millions of books, the podcasts, reviews, and all of that stuff. And you can find my podcast on your least favorite podcasting app. As always, I thank you for listening, and I will speak to you soon. Take care.